Hi. So what I want to do in this video is just give you a brief overview of the task that I created in the Unreal Engine version, I believe 4.12. This task is a risk-taking task. It's similar to some risk-taking tasks that are already out, such as the Balloon Analog Risk task or other variations based on that task. But it's a little bit different in that it occurs in a virtual world. So I'm going to show you from the start, just entering kind of a unique identifier, my name. These are just a couple options for the task. They're not really that important. We're going to go through a couple instruction screens. This is just an orientation area to get the participant used to moving around in the environment with the controller. These are the instructions. Basically what this set of instructions is saying that your job is to enter a room similar to the room that we were just in. Instead there's going to be a bunch of boxes in that room, and your job is to pick up as many boxes as you can. The more boxes you pick up, the more money that you get. But on the flip side, if you collect too many boxes, um, the trial will end and you won't be able to collect any of that money. So your job as a subject or the research as the participant is to determine when is the best time to exit the room, or when are you the most comfortable exiting the room. Without further ado, let's get to the task. And as you can see, we're kind of in the room. There's an arbitrary symbol in the center of the screen. There's no information in terms of the instructional set what that symbol means or what it's there for. So as we start moving through the room, we're picking up boxes. And you can see nothing's really happening. It seems to be going well. And now that symbol just changed twice with the last two boxes that I picked up. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to pick up boxes, and I failed the trial. I mean, you get information, you continue to see this sort of symbol on the screen, and then we go again. The symbols are again on the screen, they're changing, and I'm moving through the area picking up boxes. What we are essentially doing, I'm going to move to the exit, and I exited, and I say that I've done well in this trial. And then there's a feedback screen after this saying how much I earned. I'm earning 2 cents per box, so it looks like I picked up about 7 boxes and exited the room. Again, the first trial didn't count since that failed. I didn't get the money from that trial. We're going again here, the trial again. So as you can see, I'm picking up boxes again. Symbols are changing. And now we see this third symbol on. And I'm going to keep picking up boxes, which seems to be going up. I failed again. So what we're doing is, you can see this third symbols on the screen, is I'm sort of conditioning that symbol, or especially that third symbol, as a discrimination stimuli to switch behaviors between approaching or picking up boxes to avoiding boxes and exiting the room. The order of the boxes in terms of how they affect the symbol is completely is randomized. Um, um, that's a little bit more of a complex discussion, but just think of some of these boxes having mines, and those mines causing damage, and from trial to trial that's randomized, so there's no preset pattern that's going to work successfully from trial to trial in terms of picking up these boxes. And that's basically how the trial goes. People do this over and over until they basically learn that that symbol is the symbol to exit the room and avoid picking up more boxes. So that just gives you the idea. We're tracking lots of information in terms of you can kind of see the movements sort of jerky. That's because I'm trying to create specific or discrete movements. Instead of being able to hold down like the forward key or the backwards key and just move forward, I want to have discrete sort of responses that the subject has to engage in and measure those. The distance is approximately about 150 units. You could think of them as centimeters, 1.5 centimeters in this case, per forward or backwards press. Um, We're also capturing which boxes picked up, symbol information, XYZ coordinates, both the pitch and yaw of the head motion. That's both aggregated between kind of movements. Time information. Obviously, this is all time series data, so there's a lot of information. We'll kind of get into that in a second. But that gives you an overview of the task. Let's go ahead and exit this, and we'll kind of look more at as a sort of a visual plot of how this information comes out. So, and I'll include sample CSV files and accompany this video as well. Sample CSV files of the summary info, but the trial info, just so you get an idea of what kind of output that an individual gets. So let's bring this window over to the screen. Here you can see we have what looks like a map, and this is essentially a map, an overhead map of the task that we just did. Now it's a little bit inverted, but that's not important. But you can see that there's boxes, just like the boxes that are in the game. There's also a line, this line that's green here, blue, and you see a bunch of blue and then red. That is all the player movement. The green part of the line indicates the movement that's with the first symbol that appears on the screen. The blue part is with the second symbol, and the red part's that third symbol. That's the symbol that we're actually conditioning the subject to discriminate and exit the room and avoid picking up more boxes. Now, yeah, you can see red boxes. These are obviously what would be considered what I consider damage boxes, or ones that increase the probability that the trial will fail, or that will move you to seeing that third symbol, what I call a threat symbol, earlier. So green boxes are safe boxes. They don't cause you any damage. The damage varies from trial to trial in terms of how much damage each damage box costs you. There's all sorts of information on the screen here in terms of what the health is. The size of the circle, it represents the kind of amount of yaw movement, or kind of left to right head movement per trial. Underneath the trial, you can see what I'm trying to highlight here. This is some information about the variability of this given trial. We have an kind of average autocorrelation of movement. Autocorrelation is based on XY parameters. This is ODS is sort of orthogonal distance. This is distance orthogonal to the exit, so it would be kind of distance that's towards this west or east. Or if we had a straight line to the, like this trial right here represents the subject moving just from start to exit. Exit's where this N is, and S is where the start is. And you can see that this subject moves basically in a straight line. You can see his orthogonal movement is 46, which is small. Stepwise goal-directed movement, or movement towards the exits, 879. This is this basically is an indication of the percentage of boxes from this trial that were the same boxes that were picked up in the previous trial. This is 2 trials ago, and this is 3 trials ago. So you can see that this trial right here is very similar to this trial. In fact, that 85% similarity from trial to trial, from the first trial to the previous trial. 2 trials ago, there's a 57% similarity, and that kind of makes sense because you can see here that this guy's moving along the same beginning sort of direction, but then veers off on this trial while these other 2 trials go straight. But 3 trials back, or 3 trials previous, we can see that almost exactly similar, and that's represented here. It starts very similar and then moves around. This 3rd trial right here, you can see it looks like he dies there, so he never makes the exit. And in this trial, he doesn't die when he gets across the room, so he moves around and tries to pick up more boxes. So that's just giving you an overview of a sort of graphical outline. There's some other information on here. All these other numbers, northwest, north, these are directional coordinates. We have below the sort of cardinal directions, we have 180 or 360 degree degree measurements, and this is sort of gives you an idea of the orientation. This helps you make sense of the output of an individual person. The damage index is basically this DI up in the upper right hand corner, gives you an indication of how kind of dangerous that trial is. I mean, based on the number of damage boxes that are appearing in the trial and also the number of damage per box. So and this gives you an idea of how many moves are made, how many clicks, and the ratio of clicks to movement, and boxes picked up. So just a lot of information on there. It allows us to make sense of the trial. If we want to go in and look at the sort of output, I'll only go over this briefly because the data is rather extensive or kind of long to go through, and that would be like a separate video. But as you can see, this is the data from one trial. This is cataloging every event. This is arranged in sort of a long format where we have the ID, the session, the normal, and we have every event is another row for this trial. Change in the XY coordinates, a click, picking up the box, an exit, and a start. And this is all kind of categorized. We've got time between events. We've got all sorts of other information on here. So a lot of information. Then we also have a summary file, which I'll show up here, which gives us kind of a trial overview. So in the previous view, I just went through, I think, 6 trials here. And you can see there's a damage per box. You can see that changes from trial to trial. You can see the number of safe boxes, or this is the total safe boxes from trial to trial changes. The total number of damage boxes obviously changes from trial to trial. Total boxes doesn't because the boxes are arranged in a 7x7 grid. Yeah, so we got other information about how many boxes were picked up with the different symbols on the screen, how much time was accrued at different symbols, the aggregate distance that the person moves, stuff like that. And we've got kind of a sequence of sort of categorical labels, integers for each box that's picked up here. So it just gives you a real convenient way to analyze the data from trial to trial. So that just gives you, there's also a settings file because there's a variety of settings that we can parameterize each trial. We can set, preset maps, which I do for my experiments because I don't want the maps randomly varying. So they're preset based on set parameters that I've gone through and set and desirable properties of those maps. But you can also set to random maps of boxes appear randomly based on a whole set of parameters, and the number of trials, number of blocks, or another that you want per trial. All this stuff can be set. So that just kind of gives you an overview of basically the trial itself, the task. It's a risk-taking task. Some of the ways that trial data can be kind of visually presented, especially when you're trying to debug or present information related to the trial, and as well as the kind of tabular or CSV files that are the ultimate outputs of the participant experience. Hope that was informative. I'm definitely open to any kind of questions you might have. Just shoot me an email through the website, and I'll get back to you as soon as they come in. All right.